Turkey is a country that has more or less the same history as us in terms of colonialism, but also in terms of the cultural challenges that you have faced and that have certainly led you to carry out a certain number of revolutions. Earlier I mentioned a basic, trivial example, teaching in the local national language, and that is extremely important to us. Mr. President of the Republic, I genuinely extend a heartfelt welcome to your aspiration. I was on the brink of expressing your resolute determination to enhance our trade relations to the $1 billion milestone, which is to articulate, to substantially amplify it by nearly a bit more than $1 billion. This is appreciable, and it shows an ambition and a will that we will respond to, because as I said at the beginning of my remarks this morning, we have not yet explored the full potential of relations between our two countries, and in all the various sectors that you have mentioned, such as agriculture, the energy sector, and the transport sector. In what we are trying to do within the framework of Vision 2050, Turkey has its place alongside us as an investor, as a strategic and institutional partner in what we are doing. Earlier, I also provided you with an overview of the situation we have inherited. We are not hesitant to discuss it, as it is a responsibility that we have bristled with, and that places our nation in a somewhat delicate position regarding public finances and budgets. But we have resolutely decided to take our destiny into our own hands. Earlier, you mentioned the challenges Africa faces. Africa is not merely the future of the world, it is indeed the present of the world. It is the country, the continent that still has tremendously significant steps to undertake in order to propel global growth in other regions. It is perhaps in terms of new technology, in terms of innovation, that we can envisage growth. But in Africa, it is in the traditional economy itself. All sectors need to be developed and there is room to be taken. And I can assure you that for Senegal in particular, you now have before you, through the leadership of President Bassirou Mafaul and my personal government, these new types of African leaders who are uninhibited, aware of their responsibility, who do not ask for handouts, who do not expect aid, who seek healthy collaboration within a respectful framework, but above all, in a shared desire for balanced gains for both parties. And as you said earlier, a balanced multilateral world with partnerships that respect each other, and not a world based on the desire to dominate one another. This world must now be behind us, and those who have not yet understood this risk will understand it to their cost, because the illusion of power can lead people to think that all it takes is to press a button for the whole world to follow. But we are no longer in this world. Every nation takes pride in its sovereignty, values its independence, and seeks to trade in an open, free world, but with mutual respect, as you noted earlier. And we are happy to see that Turkey is developing this doctrine, this way of seeing the world, and Turkey will always have its place in Africa in general, and in Senegal. The defense sector, as you previously mentioned, is an exceedingly significant sector for us due to Senegal's unfortunate positioning within a geographical environment fraught with numerous threats, or rather, I should say, sources of insecurity. Despite this, today, throughout the entire national territory, we are among the countries that can assert to maintain impeccable and comprehensive security with exceptionally robust political stability. But we must protect ourselves against dangers including terrorism, which you mentioned earlier, which unfortunately is seriously affecting a number of neighboring countries. And Turkey today, which has quickly succeeded in a short time in developing a strong arms industry, to be that strategic partner with, as I mentioned, a political determination that you personally support, and which will allow us, under conditions we will further discuss, that we have already deliberated to be able to supply, equip, train ourselves, and collaborate in intelligence sharing to better secure our national territory. Mr. President, we also discussed relations beyond Turkey, and I appreciate your willingness, beyond what we are going to do bilaterally between your country and ours, to also be our interpreter with many partners for more open cooperation, and in particular, a certain number of partners with whom you are developing special relations and in whom you enjoy complete trust. Thanks in advance. The multilateral matters that we also deliberated upon. The issue concerning Gaza is a significant matter. The broader question of Palestine, in general, what is unfolding before our very eyes, which can solely be characterized as a systematic genocide and an aspiration to seize the entire territory, is something that cannot be accepted. Senegal has always had a consistent position on the question of Palestine, and since its creation at the head of the Committee for the Defense of the Inviolable Rights of the Palestinian People, continues to raise its voice at every opportunity to say no to what is currently happening, which is unjustified. It would not be happening if it were not sponsored by the powers that be. It turns a blind eye, and these very same influential powers that are lecturing the entire world today. Infants are tragically dying because they do not have access to essential milk. Adults are suffering from famine. This is an untenable health situation, and in the 21st century, this is completely unacceptable. Mr. President of the Republic, allow me to salute your leadership on this issue, because you are one of those leaders who refuse to remain silent in the face of this injustice, and we congratulate you on that. We also encourage you, together with President Bashir Mafal, who acts similarly whenever it is necessary. Finally, Mr. President, I would sincerely like to earnestly request your invaluable and indispensable support during this period beyond what we aim to accomplish today. We will perhaps conclude the institutional segment of this visit, and tomorrow we shall commence the public-private partnership portion. I was going to say with the entire Turkish private sector. But for this part, we believe that a determined Turkey alongside Senegal could help us quickly get through this somewhat difficult period for our public finances and allow us to draw inspiration from your model. I very much appreciated the response you gave me when I spoke about our relations with multilateral partners. Don't be afraid of suspending your relations with certain partners, because we, myself and Turkey, have decided to end certain forms of collaboration. I have repaid what we owed, and we are counting on our internal efforts. I can assure you that in the recovery plan that I presented last week to the Senegalese, we rely on more than 90% of our internal efforts among the four of us, in terms of mobilizing tax revenue, reducing the cost of living for the state, and also on other aspects that may interest the Turkish private sector. In particular, the recycling of a certain number of assets, port, airport, and highway assets, for which we are looking for partners. I think that today we are counting first and foremost on our efforts, but we will not say no to support from a certain number of partners among whom we place your country, Turkey. In any case, I will say thank you once again for myself and for my delegation. On behalf of the President of the Republic, that's all. Thank you.
is